class Globalization. Globalization is one of the important lesson in 10th class. So first of all, we have learned about the definition. What is an globalization? Integrated countries' economy with world economy is called as the globalization. Integrated countries' economy with world economy is called as the globalization. Globalization is the major change that occurred in the world. So globalization is the phenomenon so made the free flow of trade as well as free flow of capital and the migration, skilled and unskilled migration also happened around the world. So the globalization is the major change in the world. So it is the cultural, economic, social, political expansion take place by the globalization. So there are three types of movements we have found in the globalization. The first one is free flow of trade. It means goods and services which were moved in between the countries so freely. There is no much restrictions. The high import taxes for the goods and services. So under the World Trade Organization, there are some rules and regulations are followed by the people, by the countries. According to that, we have found free flow of goods and services in between the countries. Free flow of labor, skilled and semi-skilled workers are migrated from one country to another country because of during the globalization, the MNC companies are the major role in globalization. So MNC companies were generated lot of employment in the countries. So the migration took place, skilled and unskilled workers were migrated from one country to another country for different works. Free flow of labor also one of the change we have found under the globalization. Third one is free movement of capital, means long-term investments and short-term investments were increased. So the foreign countries are putting investments into the other countries. Not only the goods and services moving from in between the countries. So the foreign countries also started production into other countries. So these all changes took place under the globalization. So what is the phenomenon, political phenomenon which took place in the world now we have to know. That is several countries of North Africa and West Asia, Asian countries were influenced by each other by the revolutions. It is resulted, uprooted the dictatorship and emerged the democratic system of governments in several countries. So like Tunisia, such as Tunisia and Egypt. Tunisia is one of the country in Africa, northern country. Egypt is also northeastern country in Africa. Then West Asian countries also, these countries was influenced by each other and uprooted dictatorship, and there we have found the democratic system of government. So like that, what is the reasons behind the dictatorship was overthrown and democratic system of government was emerged in Egypt. For example, Egypt, Hosni Mubarak. Hosni Mubarak is the dictator in the Egypt. He was overthrown and a democratic system of government was established. In Libya also, the Gaddafi, the dictator, military dictator Gaddafi was overthrown and a democratic system of government was emerged in Libya. So in Tunisia also democratic system of government was emerged. What is the reasons behind this is cause for the globalization. The political change was happened. So by the globalization. So who will play a very important role by this change means the media, means electrical media and electronic media and print media. Electronic media and print media was play a very important role. The international news channels as well as the local news channels play important role. They spread the news. So the people were inspired by the news. Then they joined into the revolution. Then finally the dictatorship government was overthrown and democratic system of government was formed. So like the media was play a very important role. So that is by the globalization. And also media is a very important one, playing important role now these days. So whenever the national calamities, so tsunami and civil wars were taken place within the country, then tsunami and other disasters like now present days, the corona is one of the panic conditions are creating. So under these conditions, under these situations, the media was playing very important role. It is the giving information, positive information to the people, and by that across the world, around the world, they have come to know what is happening. So they are giving their sympathy, and also they are economically other countries are supporting, giving sympathy. So like that, through the media, the global media, so these all things are happening. So that is globalization is very important one. So through which we can get the information from one country to another country. And also this is, before I was explaining about the Arab Springs, that is called as the Arab Springs, means there are several North African countries and West Asian countries were influenced by each other and by the revolutions and uprooted dictatorship and emerged the democratic system of government, that is called as the Arab Springs. Okay children, so now we are going to learn about the another topic, that is the production across the countries. So how the production was organized within the countries. So before the early 20th century and mid 20th century also, the production was organized within the countries only. For example, the finished goods, raw material, as well as food grains, largely they exported in between the countries in early 20th century and mid 20th centuries. For example, in India is the colony of Britishers at the time. So India has produced large quantity of food grains as well as raw material, so which was exported to other countries, to England and other countries. So especially the England was purchased raw material and the raw material food grains with low cost from India, and India was imported the finished goods from the England. So like that, the production organized within the countries. And example, England is the largest producer on those days. So England was produced a large quantity of finished goods within their country and exported to other countries like India, Vietnam, Indonesia, Egypt and Malaysia, Myanmar, etc. So like that activities we have found in early 20th century and mid 20th century, but later the things were changed. The globalization was took place in 1990s. 1990s onwards, the globalization was changed the trade in between the countries. Buying and selling activities were totally changed. The MNC companies were emerged. So in 1990s, MNC companies play a very important role, and they controlled trade and buying and selling activities. It is controlled international market by the MNC companies. So what is an MNC company? MNC company, the full form is multinational company. So MNC company owned and controlled production more than one country. So MNC company was owned and controlled the production more than one countries. It's called as the MNC company. So there are so many MNC companies were emerged after 1990. So now present days the MNC companies are playing very important role under the globalization. So how they by the MNC company they have produced a large quantity of goods with low cost, with good quantity of the products they have produced with low cost. How can it happen? What is the reasons behind? Means they have chosen the places, the cheap factors of production. They select the cheap factors of productions in different countries. Then they organize all these things, produced the large quantity of goods with the low cost. For example, most of the MNC companies they have chosen the places for their production. So MNC company, so they want to make the design for its production, and also it want to make the research centers. You want to put the research centers and administrative office. They are chosen for America. So America, having the capitalist country, it is encouraged the trade. That's why the private trade. So that's why these MNC companies mostly they selected design and research centers as well as the administrative offices. They are interested to keep these offices in the USA. At the same time, the components and spare parts, most of the MNC companies want to produce in China. China was one of the countries. It is producing the spare parts or components with low cost. That's why they are selected China, and they produced the components are the spare parts in China. With the help of China, they produced there. Then also the transport, cheap transport was provided by Mexico, and also the assembling, also favorable conditions it has. So that's why Mexico was chosen for transport. So by the Mexico, it is quick and fast transport of goods was provided by the Mexico. That's why Mexico was chosen for transport and assembling the goods. And finally, assembling the production and also finished goods were made in East European countries. After that, they have large areas of marketing places are there near and there in East Europe. That's why East Europe was chosen for the final goods they are making. They assembled all the components together in East Europe as well as in Mexico. Then they made the finished good. They made the final good and do it the market. And India is also having favorable. India is also famous for the call centers and BPO. India has provided the services, BPO services as well as call center services with low cost. So They provide good services, account services and IT services. The Indians were provided with low cost. That's why the MNC companies are interested to give orders and projects to call centers in India. So like that, one MNC company, it is produced production not only in a particular country. So the many countries come together, they produced production. So then they are produced production, quality of the production with low cost. So with low cost they produce production. That's why they are having huge market around the world and they earn profits. So like the present days, MNC companies are producing productions. So it is the now present is globalization, making the world into a small village, making the world into a small village. That is called as the globalization. And the production across the countries, how the production across the countries was done means now I was explained you. These are the points. So next, interlinking production across the countries. Interlinking production across the countries. So MNC company want to produce the production. It needed the cheap factors of production. It is selected. So for example, the selected a site by the MNC companies, selected a site for the MNC by the MNC companies for its operations. Which type of sites selected by the MNC companies for its operations? Means MNC company want to establish industry. So where it was established, where it would establish the industry. Means it was select the places where the cheap laborers are available. The MNC companies selected places where the cheap factors of productions are available. Like they will see the proximity of markets. Proximity of markets means availability of the market. How much they have to, they can able to sell their productions in the particular place. That's proximity of the market means availability of the market. The first one is. The second one is availability of skilled and semi-skilled laborers and unskilled laborers also. Availability of the skilled and unskilled laborers. So the government policies, how the government policies are there, those policies is favorable to its industry or not, that is also taking care. And also these are the things they will observe, and finally they select the places. Those places are suitable for them. They can able to produce the production with low cost. So what is the foreign investment now? So what is the foreign investment? Means the foreign countries money spent to the other countries. The foreign countries money spent to other countries. They buy the assets like lands, buildings, machines, and putting capital in the other countries. That is come under the foreign investment. What is then foreign investment? Means money spent by the other countries to buy up the assets such as land, buildings, the putting capital and establishing industry. That is come under the foreign investment. So MNCs set up production jointly with the other countries. There are three methods they used, the MNC companies, through which they can spread their businesses. How the MNC companies spread their businesses? They used three methods through which they have spread their businesses. The first one is, if it is possibility, means they buy up the local industry and spread its business into that particular region. Buy up the local industries, the first one. Second one is collaboration with other industries. It is collaborating, joint venture. See, the MNC company also joined with the other local company and started its production. Like that, collaboration with other countries and doing, they spread its business. And third one is they give the orders to the local companies. They give the orders to the local companies and they purchased a large quantity of finished goods from other countries, other companies, local companies. And those products were purchased from other companies, local companies. Then the MNC companies were make the little bit changes in that particular goods or products. Then they released into the markets with their symbols. They released their mark. So like that, they spread their business. Means they did not produce directly, but they purchased a large quantity of finished goods products from the small companies. Then those products was making some little changes, and then through their own brand, they sold into the markets. They sold into the international market. So like that, the three methods used and they spread their businesses. Here two examples are given in our textbook. One is Cargill Foods. Cargill Food is the MNC company of USA. How it was spreaded business in India. So actually in India, the Farakka Oil company is there. Farakka Oil company. It is the largest company in India. It has good market in India. There is so much of good market. It has 4 oil refineries also, 4 oil making companies also. It has Farakka company. So it is the profitable. It is a good company in India. But even though at the same time, the Cargill Foods is one of the MNC company in America. So this company want to do business in India. So it want to spread the edible oil business in India. Then they try to make agreement. They try to buy up. They totally purchased the Farakka Oil company. So Farakka Oil company was now come under the Cargill Foods, USA MNC company. So then this Cargill Foods was spread its business around India, across India, and it is the number one now present as the leading producer of edible oil and having good market in India. Like that, it was spread its business and successfully it was happened. So Farakka company is also did not get any loss. He was sold. He was get the good profits when they were purchased. When it was sold to the Cargill Foods, means it was get good profits also. Even though those two companies was benefited by this agreement. So next, another one is Ford Motors. Ford Motors is one of the MNC car company in India, American car company. So the Ford Motors is the American car company. So it has 26 manufacturing units across the world. Means 26 companies are there. Ford Motor companies are there across the world. So the Ford Motor want to produce cars in India. India is the second largest populous country. The good market facilities are there. Good market, car market is there in India. That's why the American company established the car industry in Chennai in 1995. It put the investment is 1700 crores. So it needs some support of other company in India. So that's why it is collaborated with Mahindra and Mahindra. Means the Ford Motor joined joined with Mahindra and Mahindra company. Mahindra and Mahindra is the one of the tractor manufacturing company. It has good market in India, and it is have good name, goodwill in India. So that's why the international car company Ford Motors USA company collaborated with Mahindra and Mahindra, and it established production in India, started production in India in 1995. So up to 2004, produced so many thousands of cars by the Ford Motors. 27,000 cars were sold in Indian market in India. Not only that, 24,000 cars was exported to other countries, sold into other countries like South Africa, Brazil and Mexico. Like the country not only doing the trade with other countries, it is also producing production into other countries. Like the MNC companies have their own control over the international market, and during the globalization it is playing very important role into the international market. So next we will go to the another topic, that is tomorrow I will explain about foreign trade and integration of markets. Thank you.